Hello and welcome to Behind the Bearcat. This is the podcast where the Northwest Missouri State University Career Services Office chats with Northwest faculty, staff, students, alumni, and friends to hear about their career journeys, how they got to where they are, and how they became Bearcats. I'm Career Services Assistant Director Travis Klein.
And I'm Hannah Christian, the Director of Career Services here at Northwest. And my little drum roll, every episode of drum roll. Today's guest is
Kristen Neeley. Hello, I'm the Director of Career Development Center at Missouri Western State University. Happy to be here. Yes, round of applause. Thank you.
So this is so interesting to me because when you introduce yourself, we call this Behind the Bearcat, and then all of a sudden we bring a griffin onto our podcast. So this seems suspicious. So the very first thing we must do is we need to connect you to being a Bearcat. So could you explain that to us?
Absolutely, yes. I am from a very small town in Missouri. I came to Missouri Western. I selected Missouri Western due to the A+ program. So I got 2 years free for my business degree, and then graduated with business degree, worked in the admissions office as a student, got a job as a recruiter at Missouri Western, and then found out that this could be a job. Higher education is a whole profession out there. Had no idea. And then I went to a couple of conferences and found out that I might need to get a master's, going to need to get a graduate degree perhaps. And Northwest had a graduate degree in educational leadership. And actually, it was created for working professionals. And they had a class, a cohort that would meet in Liberty. So just right down the road here on Berry Road, pretty close. And so therefore, I started to take classes and then got my master's graduate degree from Northwest. Absolutely loved it. Really enjoyed the classes that I took. And the two people that I was with in my cohort actually we're still friends today, and we're all still in the area. So one of them, Kat Donovan is at Northwest, thriving and living her life. And the other one is at Mosaic Healthcare. So we had a wonderful time, and it was really nice to go through classes and then also be able to talk about work and what's going on. And at the time, I worked at Missouri Western, Kat worked at Northwest, and Andrea worked at Highland Community College. So it was really neat to see the three different levels and the things that actually were similar together as well. We all kind of had the same problems. They were at different levels, but it was kind of nice to bounce ideas off each other.
So we gotta tie this in a little tighter because this is so funny to me how you just never know how the networks work. So first of all, what was the small town you graduated high school from?
Brookfield, Missouri. Yes.
And guess who else was in that class? My also fellow Bearcat and spouse, Anthony Christian, who graduated with Kristen. And Kat, we all know Kat because why do we know Kat, Travis?
She used to be the assistant director. So.
Oh, yes.
So Kat was actually the assistant director here in career services for a year whenever I took over as director. So the world is very small, and, we keep bumping into each other all the time. So that's one of the things that I want, anybody who listens here, to know that you just keep talking to people all around, and you'll eventually figure out where they are, where they're from, and that they probably know someone else in your circle.
Yes. And ma'am, when we talk about networking and career services, right? Whoa, you just never know. And burning bridges, don't do it. You just never know who you're going to know and who's going to be able to open those doors for you. So absolutely keep talking. I know I got to see Tony, your spouse and fellow Bearcat, after 24 years of seeing him. So that was awesome to connect and say hello and see how things are going. But yeah, it is a small world.
It's a very small world. Okay, so I want to back up. When you graduated from high school and you said you chose Missouri Western because of the A+ program, did you know what you wanted to study in college, or how did you pick your major?
Great question. I thought that I wanted to be a teacher because everybody in my mom was a teacher, everyone in my surrounding, area was a teacher. So in A+, I was able to do some kind of job shadowing, and I selected a kindergarten class because my brother is 12 years younger than me. So I was a senior and he was a kindergartner, and he was cool. I liked hanging out with him. It seemed fun. But I got to be honest, thank goodness I had that job shadowing. It was awful. It was terrible. They were, in the corner fighting, imaginary ninjas and somersaults and just crazy. And I could not, it gave me anxiety. I could not control them. And the sweet, sweet kindergarten teacher, the voice that she had and the patience and the kind, it wasn't for me. So thank goodness I said, woo, we're not going to be a teacher. That's for sure. So what else do we got? I've always loved marketing. I love the commercials, the ideas, the targeting, watching movies or TV shows and seeing product placement. I always thought that was really cool. Weird things like that, I guess. And so I went into business marketing, and I thought that I would be some type of public relations professional, large corporation. I would not be staying in, Missouri per se. I'm out of here. I'm going to, I don't know where I thought, New York or something like that. And then through my classes and then working, it was just an opportunity that came knocking, and I was excited to be paid a salary for time. And so I took the job, and they said, here's a credit card, and here's a company car, and you get to go back. I got to go back to my hometown and recruit, which was so much fun. And just explain my experience from Missouri Western. So I did not think that I would be doing this. I had a couple of career changes, and actually right now this is a career change. I have been in higher education, primarily in admissions, enrollment management, first year experience for about 20 years, and I've never been in career development. So starting about 4 or 5 months ago back at Missouri Western, it's a whole new game. And this campus has changed, the students have changed. So it's been interesting and exciting, honestly, to get to know people again.
It's interesting that pipeline from admissions to career services, like half of our office, Kristen and I both, Kristen Little, our Kristen, both
Kristen,
were
yeah.
admissions folks before we did this too. And, as we go to NACE and the conferences for career services, and even the smaller ones like Casey and Mo CDA and all that, there's a lot of admissions people that make the transition to career. Because I think it's, recruiting is a really fun job. You get to go out there, going back to your high school. I remember going back to my high school recruiting, and it's like, this is so weird. Like, I'm not supposed to be in the teacher's lounge, but I'm in the teacher's lounge. And I don't know. It's really cool, but it's one of those jobs that's really fun until you have a family, until the
Yes.
travel becomes a problem. And career services seems like that natural progression. So it's interesting how many of us make that transition from enrollment management to the career services side.
Yeah,
So tell us about career services at Mo
yes.
West. So we're an office of 4 here at Northwest. So, there's Hannah and I, and then 2 coordinators that work employer facing and student facing. So how are you all set up? What's your staffing look like? How do things set up down the road there at Mo West?
Absolutely. So we have one director, and then previously there was an administrative assistant in a role, and there used to be probably about 10 years ago, we had a student employment coordinator as well. But in the change of things, the student employment coordinator role made more sense in human resources. So they are over in human resources, but we work very closely with them. And then I just hired my first student employee in January. Woo! So
Yay!
thank you. Yes, and that was very exciting. I said, oh, I have so many ideas, so many things for you. So she actually just reorganized our career closet. And then we have a wonderful partnership with East Hills, dry cleaning company. So they actually donate any professional clothing that is not picked up after a certain period of time. And that's almost doubled our inventory. So we had to really get in there and sort some things out and move some things around. But so currently it's just the director and then also a student employee. But I would love to expand, of course, and I do have some very good friends in student affairs here. The other directors, they help me with the career fairs and any other things that I need. But I do have some future plans of bringing on some additional staff. Yes,
Hard to be an office of one, I would imagine.
it
So
is. Yeah.
That's another thing that most people probably on our podcast we live in career services land every day. We kind of nerd out about that. We exist in academic affairs. We don't
Mhm.
exist in student affairs. So your orientation of your office is already kind of from a totally different perspective. Can you tell us about, what it looks like to be housed in student affairs as a career
Absolutely.
services?
So a lot of living in student affairs land, right across the hallway, I have the Student Government Association, which has all of our registered student organizations, Greek life right next door. So really just meeting those students daily and talking with them and speaking with those leaders, and then being able to kind of ask them, what do you want? Do you want to come to an event that is at noon on a Wednesday? Or are you looking for a fashion show at night, where we can talk about career services and our career closet and possibly some etiquette, eating with employers? That's something that we're coming up with and creating. So it's been very nice to be around all of the students and all of the student leaders. And then also there's constantly events going on. So I am there as well and making those connections and talking with them, and then making sure that they are getting connected with any resume building services or possibly undecided students that need some career exploration. So it's more about kind of connecting with those students. On the other side, I have been trying to meet with more academics. So meet with the academic advisors, meet with the department deans, with the chairs of each department, and just asking simply, what would you like to see? Every single class has usually a junior or a senior year experience, lots of internship opportunities. So how can I get in to those classes and be able to talk with your seniors or your juniors in order to then be making sure that they're ready for that internship experience? And of course, my ultimate goal is to make that internship experience into a full-time job, and then celebrate that however I can do that on social media, or possibly bringing them back for a panel, that type of thing. So it is a little different being over in student affairs. I can see both sides. I hope to straddle the line. I hope to keep one leg in student affairs and one leg in academic affairs if I can.
Same. We kind of do the same. We're struggling from the other side of the line though.
Mhm.
So we feel you on that
Interesting.
one.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I try to talk with faculty and say, hey, could you possibly give me a sign-up sheet with your students? And then they have to come to this event or this speaker. And usually, yes, 9 times out of 10, they're very happy to do that if they can fit it into their syllabus. But I hope, I'm very excited for future Kristen, right? So 2, 3 years down the road, when these things are kind of like, oh, this is what we do. We
Mhm.
have classes come and they come to our career fair or what have you. So I'm
I think
optimistic.
I think this too, real quick, Travis, is an unseen aspect of career services that part of the reason that we live here and work here is because of what you said. Like, we like to celebrate students getting an internship. We like to celebrate students graduating and getting a full-time job. I call us sometimes the icing on the cake because our job is literally to celebrate students.
Mhm.
Who else? We do not give grades. We do not take
No.
money. We do not punish students. We are here to celebrate. And that is like I'm getting
Mhm.
paid to celebrate other people's
Yes.
success. That is like my dream job. So that's just like people don't understand
Completely.
maybe that aspect of it. I
Mhm.
love it. It's the best thing ever.
Wait, I have something I want to show and tell. Just one thing. Hold on. I'll be right back.
I love the polka dots. The polka dots
Very
is
Jill Brown
amazing,
like, yes.
Kristen.
Yes.
Oh, I can already hear it coming. So at Missouri Western, when you win, you ring the bell. Okay. So I bought this little cowbell and put a sticker on it. So as students are graduating or they're telling me about their experiences, then I have them ring the bell in our office or, on our social media so they can celebrate their win, right? Because that's the ultimate win, is getting that
I love
job.
it.
Yes. And I also try to, make sure that they understand. And I'm sure all of our experiences are similar. We didn't know we wanted to do this. And I
Mhm.
said yes to a job that, sure, I'll give it a try. I'll have some fun for a couple of years and then we'll get serious about what I want to do. And that led me into 25 years of a profession. So, say yes. try it out, give it a go. Even if you think, this isn't the ultimate goal that I want, you could still get there. It's just going to take a couple of steps, instead of a direct, oh, I got my dream job immediately. And even if you do get your dream job, you need to level it up, right? You can't stay there for the next 10, 15 years. What else is there? What else do you want to do to challenge yourself? But I had to show that bell, ring the bell,
Yeah, I love that.
the ultimate.
And I don't think we've had a single guest so far that's had that straight path. Like, and that, well, we've had
Nope, nope, nope.
one
We have
person.
in
Wow,
our 6 seasons of podcasting, there is one
that's
individual,
true. Yeah.
Travis, you can
Ashley
pin
Black.
her
Yeah.
up there.
Yeah.
Dr. Ashley Black went from baby Dr. Ashley Black to grown adult Dr. Ashley
Right.
Black in her path. And, she had some interesting things to say
Mhm.
about that as well. But literally, probably the only person we've ever talked
Yeah.
to who knew what she wanted to do
Yeah,
at the
everybody
beginning.
else has been the long and winding road, like you said. And
Mhm.
that's the whole thing, I think, is that, that journey is more important than where you end up because you grow as a person and things change. I want to go back to, you mentioned doing your master's program at Northwest in higher ed leadership. And I want to talk about that because you were a business undergraduate student. So you would think like MBA is the next logical step, right? That's kind of the default master's program for a lot of people. The MBA program is the natural progression there. Why did you choose not to do an MBA and instead go with that higher ed leadership? What was it about that program that drew you in?
Yeah, great question. It really was, I would say, the modality of the master's in higher education, being able to do most of my coursework online, but then also having that FaceTime. I needed both. I needed to
Mhm.
be able to have that FaceTime. I am a collaborator. I'm a, people person. So they would have us, once a month come down, and then we would have class on Friday nights and then class all day on Saturday. And then we were able to kind of open up and talk further about the posts that we made or the papers that we were turning in. Also, I was sitting in meetings after 3 years of working in higher education, and I didn't know why certain things were happening. What happened with Pell Grants or, state land, these types of things, the law, the higher education law that they were talking about, I didn't know what was the background. And so the history of higher education was so interesting to find out, and kind of the classifications that have been made, and it just kind of brought some nice foundation to my experience, which was up here, but I didn't know what was the why behind anything. And then I was able to understand it, and I felt so empowered, honestly, to be sitting in the room and to know what they were talking about. Or student theory, my goodness, student development theory. There was so many reasons as to why they do what we do, but I had no idea. I couldn't connect it together. So when I did get that master's and kind of sitting in those classrooms and talking with them, it made such an aha kind of light bulb moment. So I just kind of decided to go that pathway, because honestly, to start with, just the modality of it, and I wouldn't be taking too much time out of my actual job. And if anything, it enhanced my job, because then I would bring back ideas from other institutions, or, from, and actually put some theory to it or some history. And I would say that it enhanced my experience at Missouri Western as a employee.
I think that's really great that you mention the duality of that kind of cohort program, because I think, now a decade later in higher ed and in the post-pandemic world, we sort of think of the online coursework component as like, well, I can do everything online,
Mhm.
right? And so it's so interesting to me. Zoom adds a different flavor to being together, but that personal component, those discussions about what's going on at work and how that ties into higher ed law, like I'm not sure that we still completely understand how well it works to be able to
Mhm.
have that online asynchronous component, but have it tied in with the people aspect of learning, especially as an adult learner, especially as someone who's a professional currently working in the situation where their education is also happening right online and in theory. Like that's so important. And,
Mhm.
I hope we keep working forward and not just pushing everything online, but continue to keep things blended and to keep things moving in that people component, that people area too. Because right, I mean, we're all higher ed people. What do we do all day? We talk to people, mostly people that are 18 to 22, but a lot of other people on the other
Mhm.
sides of those age gaps too. So people skills will never not be important. There's my double negative for the day.
I completely agree. Speaking with some of our employers, in St. Joseph, a lot of the question is, what do you expect from our students, from our graduates? What are you looking for when they're coming in at the entry level? And a lot of them are very happy with the internship experiences, with the problem solving. But one of those things that we are missing is the communication aspect. I think if they weren't a leader on campus that has had to, really think and I guess, kind of argue or, defend some things and kind of and be able to do that. I think a lot of people are missing those communication or honestly the confidence a little bit. You have created something amazing and beautiful. Go ahead and talk about it. Not, oh, well, I haven't really had any full-time experience in it, so I'm not exactly sure. Well, you created a whole website. And to me, a 41-year-old woman, that's awesome. Great. Come on in and do that for me. It all depends on what people are looking for and but you have something to be proud of. And so talk about it.
How are you approaching sort of, you say employers are looking for students with communication skills in that career services realm, career development realm? Like, what are some things that you're attempting or trying or to build up those communication skills in a professional sense?
Yes. So not only, going into classrooms, doing some presentations, talking with students one-on-one, we actually hosted in the fall an alumni career night in our specifically communications department. And they came in and they actually looked at and gave feedback to portfolios of our students. This is just in the communications department. And then they were able to make those connections and actually hear, a little bit about your portfolio or what you're doing. But a lot of them were able to talk about what they created and why they created it. And then they said, okay, close the laptop and tell me about you. Tell me about what you're interested in, what you're thinking. And that's kind of where the breakdown happens is, oh, this is going to be somewhat of an interview. This could be potentially somebody, I'm not just telling them about my portfolio. They're interested in me and what I can do. And that's kind of where, they kind of had an aha moment. So we had some good some good feedback from those surveys of our students and then also our employers. And so taking that information forward, we are trying to create basically best practices and kind of create some videos, some little bite-sized videos that can help students kind of make sure that they are ready, a quick little 1, 2, 3 checklist of what you should be doing and talking really about those soft skills. So not only communication, but time management, also problem solving, also a little bit of managing up. If you've talked to anybody, everybody, I just try to help my supervisor as much as possible. If he continuously asks me for numbers after every single event, I know what he wants. I'm just going to send it to him. And then kind of letting him know from the bottom up what I'm expecting or what's happening in my world. And just kind of making sure that they kind of have those, secret tips, if you will, before they get into the profession. But I know a couple of other companies in town are already doing that. They're creating their own training for soft skills. So I hope to dovetail, if not enhance that, whenever they come on with, the large, Altec and Herzog and BI and so on in town.
Yeah, I
Are
think
you
that's one
guys
of
doing
the
something similar? Oh,
we're trying to. So it's amazing. 45 minutes is not that far, from St. Joe to Maryville, but it is interesting sometimes how different the employer pool we work with is probably from St. Joe. We get more Iowa companies and sometimes so it's interesting our breakdown is different sometimes. But yeah, we definitely are trying to tap into the power of employers and let them come and give presentations instead of us. So it's not just the career services office talking about resumes or about networking. It's an employer having that conversation. And then, like you said, that benefit of networking is such a huge part of it too, that if we can get an employer to come to campus and talk to a group of students and make 20, 30 connections, that's so much more valuable than just us going and doing a PowerPoint, presentation to somebody. So not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's not as engaging necessarily. We've had our mock interview day events are really kind of our bread and butter for getting students in front of employees and or employers, and we use Zoom for that. So those have been really strong. But then we're also doing like Meet the Pros, where we bring employers to campus to do a panel and then have networking afterwards. So we're trying to bridge that gap between online and in person, just like we were talking about with the higher ed leadership. We're trying to do the same thing for students because yeah, those soft skills or you know the communicate, the water cooler talk, all that sort of stuff. That's what we're hearing from employers too, is like, we're not so much worried about hard skills. We can teach those, but we can't teach them how to have a conversation, how to not be awkward
How
in an
to
elevator.
how
Yeah.
to connect with someone,
Yeah.
honestly. It really, and there's no formula for that,
Mm-mm.
really.
And it's so
Like
different for every student. So,
you have to know how you best connect with others
mhm,
and how you like to connect with others, right? I like to celebrate people. This is why I'm a career
mhm,
services person, right? Like I would love to connect with you and celebrate you and send you out and say, "Hey, here's my friend Kristen. You should go talk to her. You're going to be in St. Joe. You're looking for a position." Like
mhm,
I love that. That's my favorite thing. And so little did I know that's what you do here in career services.
mhm,
Um, and so but that's the same for everyone. We always talk about here, like Travis, Travis connects in a different way, right?
mhm.
And sometimes when he's not a super extroverted guy, and it's easy to say, like, I don't know a lot of people, I don't make a lot of connections, but that's not true. You connect differently, and you got to lean into the way that you operate, right? Don't be afraid to be yourself.
Absolutely.
Don't be
Well,
afraid to be a reserved introvert. It's okay.
yeah, exactly. And sense of belonging. We
Yeah.
always talk about that with students and our student population, but as adults, we want the same thing, sense of belonging. Do I belong at this company? Is there something in the mission or the values that I can, hold on to or believe in? And that's kind of what we talk about as well, is just making sure that if there is a company that you're interested in, do they align with what you believe in as well? And then making sure that you are doing everything you can to put yourself forward and have the best kind of experience. And it's all in your hands as well, is it your happiness. And that's what I'm kind of finding after COVID. I thought, man, higher education, actually the world in general, is this what we want? I really thought, are all brick and mortar schools going to go online? Is this the future? Is this what we're going to do? And I was afraid of that. And so I had to really dig into what makes Kristen Neeley happy, and then put those things, a gratitude journal, put those things in my life daily. Some, pictures of my niece and nephew daily going to school, things that make me happy. And so that kind of work-life balance. And we talk a lot about that too, because I think that you can kind of get sucked into that expectation as a new employee. And so just making sure, that you're kind of managing that as well.
Yeah, that's super important to do. And I think that's something post-COVID that I've seen a real change in college students is they are so much more comfortable advocating for themselves and talking about work-life balance. And this is what I need to be successful. And I need you to know that from the start. And if you're not going to support that, then take me out of I wish when I graduated in 2003 from college, I would have had that confidence and that ability to say, this is what I need because I would have had a much healthier professional career up until I joined career services had I had that. So I always tell people when they ask, well, what do you do in career services? It's like our job is to teach students to really talk about themselves in a professional manner to employers. And what was so interesting to me when I joined the career services office, I expected to work with students and I love working with students, but some of the most rewarding experiences I've had have been working with alumni and with other staff and faculty or their spouse, trying to get them jobs. So it's not necessarily, the student work is there and I love it and students are great, but working with other adults, other professionals, and then trying to help them improve skills or get better at a certain aspect so they can try for the next level job. Or in some cases, we even love them out of the university. We don't want to do that, but there are times where it's like, they've kind of reached maximum potential here and they have a better opportunity somewhere else. So let's try and help you get out there. Not that we're trying to bleed talent, Dr. Tatum. Please don't fire us for making people jump
Well,
shift, but that's what we do. You want to
I
better their
completely
situation.
I completely agree. I actually, I don't think I would have left Missouri Western as an employee if I had not had some suggestions and I had grown to the potential where there wasn't going to be a directorship in what I wanted. And so I said, okay, well, I'm going to go start looking somewhere else. And they said, okay, that's great, and I did. And I went, to another institution in Texas. And then I was able to go to, Columbia College for a couple of years. And I didn't think I would come back to Missouri Western, but I'm so glad I did. And the city of St. Joseph, it has grown. So many things have happened in the past 10 years. It was wonderful to go up and walk on Northwest campus. It's gorgeous. People are everywhere, So it felt like home. It felt like coming back home. And I have such pride as an alumni from both institutions, have my degrees on the wall, love to talk about them. And so you never know where it will take you. And I completely agree. Sometimes you need to go to grow. That's what a lot of people say. And I am a product of that. Completely agree.
Okay, I'm going to summarize what I've heard from you, what I'm taking away from you. Don't burn any bridges. You have some great sound bites, Kristen. Don't burn any bridges because you might need them, right? You need to go to grow, right? And then
I'm stealing that, by the way. That is a great, short, succinct
sure
way
I
to
stole
say
it
that.
from
I
somebody
love
else.
that. Yes, that's
Yeah.
getting used. So I'll try and credit you when possible, but I'm stealing that.
And then people skills always matter. People
Mhm.
skills will always matter because no matter what type of work you're doing, even if all you're doing all day long is sitting in your basement building a website or coding, at some point you have to interface with another person. So just learning to connect with other people is such an important skill. Do you have other, please unleash all your
Oh,
nuggets for
oh,
us.
here we go. No,
Ready
just
for them.
I would really probably the biggest suggestion is not only kind of that work-life balance, but finding your happiness, your true happiness within yourself, but also making sure you get involved in the community. As a younger person, didn't really think that was a big deal until I got involved with United Way, and I saw the amount of people that are benefiting from the services of United Way, from the city of St. Joseph or the Chamber of Commerce. And I immediately knew I wanted to be a part of something like that. And then this past fall, I actually got the wonderful opportunity to be on the United Way St. Joseph Leadership Program. And that has been so much fun. Getting to know, 30 to 35 other professionals within the area from all different employers. It's exciting to talk about their experiences, to see what they're doing every day. And it really fills up my cup. And so find out something that really fills your cup, makes you happy, because all we do all day is pour into somebody else's cup. And I'm happy to do that. But then when I don't have anything for myself, that you can feel drained, and that's when you think to yourself, man, I need to do something. Also love reading all types of books, keeping yourself engaged in what's happening in the world and also in our profession. Man, there's so much going on and so much to digest. Try to find the good, not just the bad, but also, the good, what keeps you happy. And then try to find some people in your area and like-mindedness, trying to, just so that you can trust and get into a circle and just have a good time, laugh, fellowship, that type of thing. But that's probably my biggest advice would be, even to students or employers or alumni, anyone of any age, is find out what makes you happy or what makes your cup full, and keep doing that. Also, and Travis, I agree. I didn't have the confidence to ask any questions or advocate for myself. No, not at all. But definitely know what you want. What do I want? And then figure out how to ask for that. A lot of times, anytime people would think about, oh, I'm going to ask for, more money or more experiences. And even if the company didn't have more money to give, they would at least say, you know what, I hear what you're trying to accomplish. And so let me put you on a couple of committees that can make that experience a little more elevated. And then when it comes time for you to move into a director role or an assistant dean, whatever, then you will have that experience on those committees, or you'll be in the room. Just get in the room, get to the table. And when you're at the table, you're there for a reason. So don't, say, I'm not going to ask this question, or I'm not going to say this because it might be silly or it might be stupid or somebody might think something. No, 9 times out of 10, when somebody asks a question, I'm like, yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I'm glad somebody said that, or I'll say something and then I'll be like, is this a concern of anyone else? Yes, it is. Oh, okay, well, and that takes the conversation in a different direction. So it's okay. And it's okay if it is a stupid question. Maybe it will be fun, and, other people can laugh and it can break the tension a little bit. So just be you, and we are happy that you're at the table, and know that you're not at the table just by, chance or happenstance. Like, somebody put you there because they believed in you.
That's fantastic advice. So how can somebody find you if, a student at Mo West is listening to this or watching this and they want to reach out to you or an employer would like to, how can they get a hold of you? How can they find you?
Absolutely. So the Career Center email, you can email me at careercenter@missouriwestern.edu or myself, K. Neeley, at missouriwestern.edu. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. So just look me up. I'm happy to chat. And then if you want to come to campus, if you're driving around, I'm in the student union and it's upstairs. And we have a Chick-fil-A downstairs. So maybe we could go down. We also have a Starbucks, of course. But two of my favorite things, Chick-fil-A and Starbucks. So we can grab a coffee and talk. Absolutely. I would be happy to chat about anything and everything. Life, your jobs, where you want to go, where you might not want to be, and you're trying to transition out of something else. I'm happy to chat.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. That was great. That was awesome
Hold on, I
advice.
wasn't
Oh,
done.
sorry.
Hold on, I
Sorry.
wasn't done. That was great advice.
That was
That was
great.
great
Yeah.
advice. That was a nice bow to tie it up with.
Mhm.
I just wanted to say, you mentioned asking for what you need and trying things that you think you might like, because especially if you're a young person and you're saying, ask for what you need. And I'm like, I don't know what I need. I don't know what I like. I want to go all the way back to the very beginning and re-explain or over-explain, Hannah-splain. What did you do? You went and shadowed a kindergarten class and you said that's
Mhm.
not for me. And you know what? That is okay. Like if you don't try things, you don't know what you're going to like or dislike. So
Mhm.
really and truthfully, just go dislike something. If you go dislike 5 things, that is
Yes.
way more information than you had in the beginning, right? And it's okay to do that. And
I'm going to
Kristen can
steal
help you
that.
do that. Yeah,
Dislike
Kristen can help
something.
you
I
do
love
that.
that.
What do you
Yes.
dislike, right?
Yes. And, failing, it's okay. It's complete. If you're not failing, actually, you're probably not growing. Like
Absolutely.
you got to try things. And if it doesn't work and it's fine to stand back up and it's okay to say, I was wrong. I got to figure it out. Let me try something else. And it's easy to say that now, but it's very
Sure.
hard to do whenever you're 18, 19, 20, and your decisions have primarily probably been made for you. And now you're trying to figure out, well, in my small town of Brookfield, Missouri, my family thought this way, but do I think that way? No, I don't. And so how does that look whenever I go home and talk to my family about, politics or life or love or what have you, so just finding yourself is really what it's all about, and be kind to yourself.
And what's interesting is you initially wanted to be a teacher, and honestly, in your role now, you teach people. So in a roundabout way, you ended up, it's not a
Oh,
kindergarten class. Like,
that's it. Oh my
sometimes it
gosh.
feels like we're talking
Full
to
circle.
kindergartners, but you really are. I mean, really, teaching is a large part of what we do, whether that's in a classroom or one-on-one or however. It's
At
all
work,
about
baby,
teaching new
at work.
things.
All
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm doing is teaching what we do is we teach people how to do things that we don't know how to
Hmm.
do.
That's
So,
exactly right. Yeah, Missouri Western, when I started here in September of last year, they said everyone's an educator.
Hmm.
E3, everyone's an educator. And I thought, wow, that's huge. Like when I'm in the Walmart checkout line and I have my name tag on, it always happens, right? And somebody says, oh, do you work there? And I say, yes, I do. And did you go to school there? Well, I did, but I dropped out and now I'm on. And what do you know? I give them a business card. Come call me, please. We can chat about it. What can we do? So it always happens whenever you're somewhere. So everybody's always educating and always open to conversation.
and we love you and we love partnering with
Absolutely.
you and we love supporting.
Oh,
And see, this is exactly, folks, like we will fight you in football till the day that we die.
yeah, well,
But
we have to. Yeah,
in terms of the people, like,
Hmm.
you know, that sense of belonging is also still there. Just because we're different institutions doesn't mean that we aren't collaborative or we can't be collaborative or, that means nothing to us. We're just here to educate everyone, right? And help them.
completely agree. Absolutely. I had the very first college fair that I went to as a 22-year-old, the Northwest rep, his name was Mike. He took my tape. I went to the bathroom. I was nervous. I went to the bathroom, came back out. My table was gone. The whole table, everything was gone. And I said, oh, like where's all my belonging? And everybody, I don't know. I don't know where it is. It was in the hallway. It was, and they were like, you have to laugh. You have to have fun in this job. And I said, okay, and so then it started a little war, and we would just follow each other around. We would all eat lunch at the same places. We would all stay in the same hotels. And it really was a family. And that's when I first realized, like, okay, like this actually is a community that can grow if I'm open to it, and I'm here for it.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. And we love, like Hannah said, we love partnering with you guys. And, that collegiality, I think, is such a huge part of career services and what we do. And we really appreciate having those lines of communication open, down 71. We love, no reason we can't be friends. We're just right there. So thank you so much. We
Absolutely.
appreciate it.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
And that's going
Thank
to do
you
it for
so
another.
much.
Yeah,
Had a great time.
absolutely. That'll do it for another episode of Behind the Bearcat. And we'll talk to you next time. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed that episode. If you did, be sure to give us a thumbs up below. That helps out. Also, if you've not done so yet, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new episode. Also, we'd love to connect with you on social media. You can find Behind the Bearcat on Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Plus, the audio podcast comes out on Fridays on all the major podcast platforms. Thanks again for watching Behind the Bearcat, and as always, we'll talk to you next time.